Okay, I'm Chris Avina with American Outdoor News, and today we're going to be talking about an upcoming event, a tremendous event called EarthX. And I'm here with the founder and organizers, Trammell Crow and Mark Hall. Guys, thanks for coming on.
Certainly
Thank
appreciate
you.
the
Any
opportunity.
any chance for publicity? This is Earth Day.
It's funny. Earth Day started in what, 1970?
70.
And you started this
Sure.
event in 2011. And how much has it
Yeah.
grown since 2011?
Oh, it went on a hiatus after by the 80s when we passed major legislation. Earth Day just kind of disappeared. It's a great brand, but there's no really events other than community parks. We didn't know that. Otherwise, we might not have done it. But we had 38,000 people the first year and 177,000 people just before COVID.
Well, I'll tell you, for the first year, 38,000 people,
Yeah.
that's a huge
But
success.
you're in New York.
Yeah.
We hit 38,000. I said, God dang, that's pretty good. Called up Washington and they said, we're the biggest one, so we're from Texas. And they said, no, you're not. New York has 50,000. I said, that's a round number. Tell me. They had 5 different street parties, and they call that an important event.
Yeah.
So nobody's doing it. I think it's about 15 to 25 times larger than any uh, uh, big environmental event in the world.
Now, you've grown this event to, geez, almost 200,000 visitors,
Yeah.
700 exhibitors, 400 speakers over a 4-day span. That is a tremendous undertaking.
It is intense, and the number of conferences and public stages that are going all day long is something like 18 conferences and stages.
So it's spread across Dallas.
Well, it's in the Fair Park. It's the only place big enough to handle it in the shadow of downtown.
And what about the all the exhibitors are all downtown in the park?
Yeah, the beauty of a fair park is you can have indoor, outdoor. We have about a 500,000 square feet.
Wow,
The indoor is stuff like sardines, and the outdoor is pretty spread out. So it's fair to say about a 500,000 square feet.
that's tremendous. How long does it take to put together an event like this?
Well, we've been doing it in 12 months every time for 12 years or something, but not really because we just fall over ourselves at the end. A professional conference producer will tell you it takes 18 months, and so uh, maybe we can do that someday.
It all seems to, all the planning and all the, rearranging and whatnot. It all seems to come together in like the last 45 days.
Oh my God. We'll be sitting there just shaking and shivering because, we don't have enough going. And a whole 50% almost will come in the last 6 weeks.
Now you're going to be speaking about. You have people that'll be speaking about business innovations as far as
Yeah.
conservation and things of that nature. What type of businesses do people expect to see when they come down there?
First of all, let me just stress that we have businesses at all. I was taken to task by some local chapter of the Sierra Club, good people, but they were saying, why do you have Exxon in there? And I'll say because the small percentage of their budget does some really important innovative stuff like Shell and the Game Changers. So at the eCapital Summit, the investment forum, with about 100 startups typically in ocean tech, ag tech, property tech, and so forth, and about 100 investing organizations, typically venture capital from East Coast, West Coast, but here in Texas too. Uh, uh, in the conservation area, it's ag tech, uh, water filtration and things, seed technology. But
Wow.
but gosh, Chris, that's not fair. You're talking to a suburban boy, strictly a suburban kid. I don't know too much about the ag, but no tillage and sustainable ranching is going on much more widely spread than I realized.
It really is. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, the technology that keeps developing behind that, it's staggering.
The
I, I,
technology, the technology is going and getting ahead of us. And just like anything else, it's the humans and the habits and
Mm,
the old fashioned way of doing things that's getting in the way. Can I give you an example? Take
sure.
a green building, a new, big, beautiful skyscraper that has all the energy management systems. Well, the maintenance department might not really know how to do it or really want to. So they don't take advantage of the technologies they could.
Yeah.
We're going to be saved by our personal sacrifices and our recycling and all these things, but mainly we're going to be saved by innovation and technology and business.
Now you're going to have also alternative fuel vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Now that includes electric, alternative energies, alternative fuels, green fuels, things of that nature. How big
Mm-hmm.
uh, how big of a display is that as far as your exhibitors? I would imagine it's a tremendously fast growing field.
Oh my God. There are so many electric vehicle companies, and they're made in foreign countries and in America too. I just bought a Rivian pickup truck. Uh,
It's a beautiful truck.
I don't think we'll have any hydrogen out there this time, but maybe 30, 40 vehicles, primarily passenger cars, but urban delivery vehicles. One more than one 18 wheeler. But what we're really excited about, and we haven't got the commitment yet, is a hydrogen locomotive.
Wow.
And it doesn't exist yet. I mean, it's not commercially available, but there's a prototype in California. And imagine hydrogen is still a viable candidate. A lot of people think it's the way, but I've got to mention a couple of things, and I apologize for talking too much. There's a group happens to be based here called Solar Car Challenge. These kids in high school, they don't have to choose between wood shop and metal shop anymore. They can go to solar car shop, build a solar car that was legal on the road,
Wow.
and there's like 250 high school teams out there in America, and they'll be here. But there's a company in Denver that we hope will. They say they're bringing a Formula One car. Now, there's nothing, no clean energy about this. A Formula One race car that's autonomous for paraplegics.
Wow. Wow. That's innovative.
Yeah, exciting things, man.
Wow. What and you know, there's going to be educational workshops and about conservation. Can you tell us about some of the workshops that'll be going on? I mean,
Yeah,
4 day
yeah.
span, 400 speakers has got to be a wide variety of topics.
Right. And let me say, okay, I'm from Texas. Everything I say has to be a brag, one way or the other. Those 400 speakers, or whatever the number is, we don't pay our speakers from the very first year. Maybe it's kind of we want to be pure and people speak not for money, We don't pay travel and we don't pay honorariums, and these guys are coming from all over America and
Wow.
elsewhere too. So that's pretty good motivation. Uh, Usually, the conferences are panels and individual speakers. Uh, some of them are very good at conversating, at dialogue with groups. We have some really wonderful facilitators that have come again and again. But when you say workshop, I can only think of one thing, and this might be a little controversial to our audience today, and that's the United Nations Global Youth Workshop United Nations Global Climate Workshop Negotiator Workshop.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, and they started it in Dallas last year, and they're preparing the kids so they can go sit at the table with the negotiators at the COP talks. Say what you will, it's going to happen.
Yeah, hey Chris, I think an interesting point to bring out is a lot of the knowledge transfer that takes place, especially in the ranching, ag, and hunting community. Because what we've all had our eyes open to is, at the beginning of that food channel, i.e., up there on a ranch where we're going back to natural grasses, getting rid of fertilizers and water remediation. Mm-hmm. We have people, large distilleries that are taking that water in. We have large corporations like McDonald's and others that are, contracting for the beef raised on sustained ranches. So we're really exposing all these different landowners on how to improve what they do, not only economically, but socially. So there's a whole lot of that knowledge transfer exchange that takes place during these conferences.
Well, I know homesteading is becoming very big. People looking to have sustainable living off of the property that they own, raising their own animals, growing their own crops organically, no fertilizers, no things of that nature, and it's become very popular.
Let's bring it back home to ourselves too. Although around here lately, people have been building houses so big they don't have any more backyards. But people, we can put those gardens in our backyards and feed ourselves just like we did 80 years ago.
I grew up with a garden. I'm Italian. Yeah. We have our gardens. We grow our tomatoes, we jar it, we grow our peppers. I've had a garden since I was a kid. And I'll continue to do so as the more land I get, the bigger the garden gets.
Well, it's the thing I found amazing since I started association with Trammell and what he's built is the will of a lot of these larger Fortune 1000 organizations to now not only fund, but establish groups within their corporations for sustainability and for better environment. So as we bring those in and connect them with these scientists and other folks that are researching and preparing ways to do this, it's a great forum. And, as Trammell said, it's unlike no other. And it's right here in the middle of the U.S. It's not on the East Coast or the West Coast. It's right here in Dallas, Texas, which is very easy to get to. But it's just unbelievable the power of what takes place at these conferences and events.
Mark, it couldn't be on the East Coast or the West Coast. We couldn't discuss the things that we discuss on those coasts. We would be prevented.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, Trammell. We kind of experienced that. But we're seeing more and more folks come from outside of the, Texas area to attend this as we've gotten back after COVID. And I mean, it's great to see not only the pendulum swing back, but we're finding, again, that middle ground where we can see how we all work together and stop fighting, but to see the advances we're all making together. And that's a very powerful thing.
At environmental gatherings, very, very, very few of them will even allow a discussion between what they used to call a climate skeptic and a warmist, Mm-hmm. Our big Friday lunch will be a conversation moderated by Rick Perry and the Texas State climatologist, John Nielsen Gammon from Texas A&M, and a Mr. Alex Epstein, who a few years ago, you might recall, wrote a book called The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels. And it's not a conversation or an argument about is there global warming, because nobody wants to say there isn't anymore.
Yeah.
But how do we allocate our fuels and what do we do about it?
Well, I think, the climate of our country today, you're either on the left or the right, but I think there's one common ground, and that is our ecology and, the preservation of the lands that we have today. I mean, me as a, hunting and outdoor magazine, we have the Pittman-Robertson Act. That's a self-imposed tax for every license, every rifle, every round of ammunition. There's a self-imposed tax that goes right back into conservation of the habitat and the animals itself. And there's a whole ripple effect of you're improving the habitat for moose. It's going to affect the other animals, the insects, and there's a whole trickle-down effect right down to the flowers and plants that will flourish
Mhm.
when you're rejuvenating a certain area.
Well, and Chris, and I think the big change we've seen over the last 2 to 3 years is all of the very large conservation NGOs or hunting NGOs are really going out of their way to put a lot of their time, effort, and money into non-consumptive, type vehicles, remediating land, marshlands, this, that, and the other. I mean, the work going
Mhm.
on by DU and some of the others is just amazing, and it's a well-kept secret from a large part of the public. But the more people understand what real good is taking place by people from the hunting and fishing and outdoor world, I mean, the better off we're all going to be. So, we just want to get the word out, get more folks involved. There are two conferences a world. There's Earth Day that we do, and there's Half Earth Day. But we have year-round conservation activities that we do on a quarterly basis, work projects to help support all of those NGOs.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's what we're trying to do is get that word out, see what's really involved, hopefully get their children involved to, again, protect our heritage and have it go on. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what EarthX and EarthX conservation is all about.
Well, I heard that there's going to be a lot of well-known people at your event too. I mean, who has been to your event in the past, and who do you expect to be there this next month?
I'll give it a shot. There's so many that, frankly, I've got information overload, and it's hard to rattle them off. Um, Van Jones is coming. He's on CNN at this time, I think.
Okay.
Dang it.
Well, I know
Yeah.
Congressman Byron Donalds.
Yeah. Talk about the congressman. Yeah.
Yeah, Congressman Byron Donalds is coming in. He sits on several committees. He's coming in. He's our keynoter at our speaker that night. We've got several folks from Capitol Hill that have always been involved and continue to come down. I'll let Trammell.
I think, Mark, that there are 7 congressmen committed to come.
Wow.
Yes, that's what I was told.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there's here at Half Earth Day, Trammell did something with the actor Robert Redford and did his film Way of the Rain.
Yeah,
Redford, he won't be there, but his ranches are going to be exhibiting. And I don't know if we'll get anybody out of the Ted Turner family, but it's a big family, and they've got a lot of ranch. Laura Seidel, particularly. So we're talking to them too.
So you got a wide spectrum of both celebrity and politicians that are there to help make this event a huge success.
We don't push for celebrities too much. One of the congressmen is Bill Foster, and as I recall, he's the only congressman there is that's educated in nuclear. I think that the congressman from Arkansas, Bruce Westerman, who's the only congressman educated in forestry, will be there. There's a teen heartthrob from Mexico called Luis de la Rosa, who's an activist and an actor.
Hey, Trammell, that's a good segue. Why don't you mention the involvement and the great number of people from Mexico that are now joining with us and coming up and joining the conference and connecting the countries more and more on, especially on the hunting and fishing side.
Mark, it's hard to without saying billionaire all the time. we have had such a surprising experience. First of all, a lot of these titans of industry own their corporations.
Sure.
And a lot of them are big conglomerates. And the surprising thing to me is maybe they're not as far along as American corporations in being sustainable, but there's a big interest in improving their green, and a sincere one. But rarely do I meet a big executive in Mexico who is a climate denier.
Yep.
And more conservationists and hunters than I knew existed. Mark, do you want to tell the story about the proclamation?
No, I want you to. You should be proud of that. That was a very big deal we got done last year.
first time there was a big trip I took down there, and the first evening there was a long table of Mexican friends, new friends, and I jumped up there trying to act like a woodsman, and I said, "Wildlife conservation through hunting and fishing." And these men couldn't even stay in their seats. They were so excited to hear what they thought was an enviro talking like that. Long story short, they came a few months later in force to Half Earth Day a year and a half ago, and we had a proclamation prepared for them that basically, with a lot of whereas and wherefores, said hunting and fishing is a valid form of wildlife conservation in Mexico and in America, because they've been having problems with that damn president trying to prevent hunting with legislation across the board.
Yep.
So Mark gathered a group of tried and true Texan hunters. We had about 10 of them, 10 Mexican leaders representing 450 hunter groups. And
Wow.
The proclamation they carried down to Mexico. 6 weeks later, I walked into the office of the president of the Senate, and he said something in Spanish that sounded like an Italian thing. It was like, the president's proposed legislation sleeps with the fishes. We beat it. The hunters beat it.
Hunting conservation works all over the world. We've used that model not only in the U.S. and Mexico, but all the way in Africa as well, and it works. It's a proven entity, and it should be more widely accepted.
Yeah, Chris, during COVID, when we had to go online instead of having face to face, we did our conference, and 80% of it were speakers from Africa. So we spent a lot of time talking about what they were going through, because they were greatly harmed by the lack of travel and lack of hunters and everything else that took place during COVID. Yeah. But they gave us a state of their nations, and they gave us a plea for the help they needed, and they gave us all a much better understanding of what they confront every day down there. Yeah. Not just tobacco hunting, but all the poaching that started to increase
that's
because money wasn't flowing in. It was huge. How the villages were being decimated. I mean, there were just so many things that we're not aware of, and the press here does not ever talk about. So, I mean, it to me was enlightening, and really got my heart beat up about how we can support all these countries, through hunting, fishing, and conservation. Not just with the geopolitical talk that we hear on the, the broadcast news every night.
Yeah, the buzzwords and talking points. Yeah. Now, what do we need to do, or what really needs to be done to help with the long-term ecological sustainability?
Well, first of all, it'd be nice to have some facts and some truth. And Mark Hall and I argue about climate. But if we look at the statistics that are created by the IPCC and the scientists that make the climate studies for the COP talks, we might not disagree so much.
Mm-hmm.
They go to the media and they don't read it and study it, and they exaggerate it, and that's where the problem is with the climate debate. And I talk about the climate debate when you say, what do we do? Because there's some people who have left the environmental work and have gone straight into politics because they say you got to fix the system before you can fix the problems.
Well, and I think the other thing we do is we spend a fair amount of time trying to get people to talk with, again, facts instead of feelings, because the feelings tend to come out and overtake the conversation on too many occasions. So, and there are a lot of different facts that support different sides of the issue. But I mean, and Trammell said it early on, there's none of us who will deny there's some effect we have on climate. I mean, it is, but yeah, I mean, whatever we can do to help, we have to have that in good order for our environments that we need and habitats that we need to continue to have these different breeds not in danger, to have the clean water, the trees, the clean air, all the stuff all of us need. That's the stuff we should find the middle ground on and work together on, and get rid of the polar issues that try to separate us, because that's where we can make a big difference. And I will say, the conservationists do tend to bring a large availability of money at their disposal to put into these things. So I think that's why it's been a good start with these guys. They want to leave a better world as their legacy.
Well, as the saying goes, to think globally, you got to start locally.
Right.
So, as individuals, what should each of us start doing yesterday to preserve our planet for the next generation?
Be very conscious how you vote and how you shop and how you eat.
I'm very conscious of what I eat. I eat everything.
Yeah. I mean, come on, come on. Most of us aren't even voting at all anymore. So I won't give you a sermon, but let's start. Let's have the feeling and the faith and the philosophy that our parents had 100 years ago that we can do this. We can build America. We can be resilient. We can be self-reliant
Mm-hmm.
and do it ourselves and not wait for the government.
Yep.
And it's drop by drop. It's scrap of paper by scrap of paper. And yes, turning off the lights or turning off the water when you brush your teeth does help.
Mm-hmm.
So just, people take responsibility for your actions.
Well, I believe that if you don't vote and you're not conscious of your own personal environment, you're really giving up your right to complain about it.
If you don't vote, never complain to me if you don't vote.
You're giving up your voice.
Yeah.
Yep. And Chris, I mean, we don't try to get into the full politics at the conference, but it does come out, especially right now, landowner rights, different countries buying up our farmland or our large conglomerates buying up different tracts of property.
Yes, sir.
I mean, all those things are going to be discussed, hopefully with facts at some of the conferences. And at the end of the day, that affects all of us. It really does.
Well, who are some of the exhibitors that people should expect to see? I mean, 700 exhibitors. Holy cow.
I wish I had that list in front of me. Mark, some of the conservation exhibitors.
Oh, I mean, we range everywhere from now Safari Club, Ducks Unlimited is coming, Delta Waterfowl, OTF Outdoor Tomorrow Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've got the Wild Sheep Foundation coming. I'm not sure if SCI is going to be attending or not. I'll know that later today. But there's just hundreds of them on the conservation side. As well, I say hundreds. I said there's about 125 conservation-based organizations coming to join us. Save the rhinos.
Well, no, those are guys that might be exhibiting, but they might have 10 different groups represented in their exhibit.
Absolutely, absolutely. The local chapters, yes, that's right, and their partners will be there. But then there's several hundred that are related to water and what we're doing to make our water systems more effective and clean. There's energy people coming. I don't. Is the legal
renewable? Yeah.
Is legal still on this year, Trammell? I don't know if that's still
legal.
Happening.
There's not a legal conference per se. We're having policies represented in all the conferences.
Okay. So, I mean, you'll see a fair amount of those folks that are involved in that from, either on the legislative side or from the lobbying side. So
most of the big names in environmental groups, Greenpeace, Sierra Club, most of those.
Yeah. So, I mean,
youth groups, Extinction Rebellion, Sunrise Movement, many of those.
Well, it's good you have people like Outdoor Tomorrow Foundation that are going to be there. I work with them as well to educate your youth about the benefits of the outdoors, the beauty, and just being outside, going hiking, going fishing, going canoeing. Go on a mountain hike. There's medicinal purposes that you can't find in any pill.
Got groups coming down from the Rocky Mountains, particularly Colorado, Denver, Boulder, Aspen, Vail, Colorado Springs, Fort Collins. And they're a great mixture of right and left in Colorado.
So this is really a global event. It's
Oh yeah.
Well, the
not
speakers
people
come from everywhere.
Wow, this is tremendous. And it starts April 19th.
Yeah, there's a little thing on the 20th. There's only the Innovation Investment Conference, and then on the 21st, Friday, it starts like crazy. About 10 different conferences going on at the same time. Contingencies from the UK and media. You know, we're on we have a TV station now, and we should have been talking about it. EarthX TV was launched on Spectrum TV in September. We have 6 hours of programming a day that's never been seen on our channel before. We acquire documentaries and series shown before in other countries. We make our own shows too that are kind of fluffy. We got to get the eyeballs. 11 million homes doesn't mean 11 million eyeballs yet. In the next 30 days, we think we'll have 25 million homes in America on Spectrum, and on I shouldn't say the next. In Europe, we have about 25 million right now, and that'll grow from Ireland to Romania.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now,
And the amazing thing is there's not any competition. We are the only TV station that's all environment.
Now, an event of this magnitude, you must generate a hell of a lot of money.
I'm generating a hell of a lot of expense. We tend to give these things away. You know how hard it is to get people involved in the environment. They have this feeling of hopelessness, or they have this Texas obstinance that it doesn't. So we have huge losses actually.
Wow. So, what does an event like this cost? I mean,
well, it's certainly in the millions. Wow. And with the TV, which is a much bigger cost, let me put it this way: sponsors, come hither.
Yeah. Okay. So how can I found that every major corporation has a soft side for the environment. How can these corporations be in touch with you to get involved, donate their time, donate their money, more importantly, because the money goes directly to the environment?
Yeah. And all the profits that we will recognize, if this TV station really works, people will watch, will go straight back in environment conservation. They can go to our website, earthxtv.com, I guess, and earthx.org, I think it is.
Yeah.
But, I'm a little old-fashioned. I could hardly get this Zoom working today, so I'll just say Trammell@tscrow.com. If it's a big corporation, they need to talk straight to me.
Okay. And what about buying tickets for the events? Same thing. Go to the website. They can buy the tickets for the events.
Yeah, earthx.org. Free admission to the whole expo. The conferences are minimal costs.
Well, I think this is an amazing event. You've done a tremendous job. I mean, I can't believe the size of it and the undertaking. I run small events, and they're a lot of work. Something of this magnitude, I don't even want to look at.
Yeah, my children are hacked off at me. Can't really say I have a real girlfriend, and personal life is gone. But these things need attention. These species are going. These monarch butterflies need to be helped coming back. Time is a wasting.
Well, I definitely appreciate you, because we definitely need more people like you that take their time and money to put together an event like this to educate people.
Appreciate it. And hope we can get you down there.
Hey, Chris, just one last plug here. We do have several banquets that take place during the conference. So,
Okay.
if they get online, they can go look at those. But those are not only really fun events. After the banquet dinner, there's usually a hosted party over at the Crow Estate, which is always memorable. So hopefully we'll get some of your folks to journey down our way to see us.
If you come, Chris, you're going to run up to me and grab me like a bear hug and lift me up in the sky. I know, because you're going to go crazy seeing the things that occur that never do occur, man.
That's amazing. It's not every day that somebody takes on something like this, and it's well appreciated.
Thank you for saying so.
Well, hey, thank you, Chris, for allowing us to talk to you and your viewers, and I look forward to seeing you here soon. And hey, Trammell, thank you for taking time today.
You bet. Y'all come.
All right. We appreciate your time, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and go to the website. I'll list it at the closing credits where you can buy tickets.
And you have you have a hard copy magazine also?
No, we're only online.
Okay, I'll subscribe online. Thank you.
All right. Thanks again.
Right. Thanks, everyone.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a non-profit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.